We'd like to introduce you to a wonderful woman who has actually been on the mission field, the foreign mission field in Uganda for the past 20 years. Her name is Kathleen Muraka, and she presently lives in Kampala, which is the capital city of Uganda. Uganda being a country of about 42 million people in Africa. You'll have to look on your map to see where that is. And Kampala, I believe, Kathleen, has a population of a little over 1.5 million people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came to live in Uganda for the past 20 years and what you're doing there?
Okay, so it started really simply. I was in Japan teaching English, and Christopher, who I work with, I've been working with for 20 years, said, I'm going to go to Uganda and start a radio show. Do you want to come along? And it was that simple. I mean, we didn't go right away. We took about a year for us to get the funds to go. But then I went with him and his family, and we started radio shows.
Yeah, and he's quite gifted as far as presenting radio shows as an announcer.
He has a background as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He studied that, and he's
former Shakespearean
yes,
actor.
Shakespearean actor
On the stage in England, in
yes.
London. Yes.
Yeah, well, he was studying that
yes.
when he became a missionary. And he's been doing radio shows for a very long time. I worked with him before that.
So when you landed in Uganda, about 20 years ago, would you say?
21.
21 years ago. In the year 2000.
Well, 1999.
1999.
We got there at the very end of 1999.
So what was it like when you landed? Did people meet you there? Was it all set up, or did you have to pioneer your own situation?
People did meet us there. People that had told us that radio was extremely popular at that time in Kampala, well, in all of Uganda. So they invited us and said, why don't you start a radio ministry here? Because other countries in East Africa they were more government controlled, whereas these radio stations were not. A lot of them were not. So they invited us, and we found a house. I think they helped us find a house. And then we started.
Tell us a little bit about Uganda, what the people are like, what religions they practice in Uganda. Give us a sense of what it is like to be there.
Okay, so Uganda is East Africa. It's landlocked. There's a big lake called Lake Victoria, which is the second largest lake in the world. The people are kind and laid back a little bit. Laid back. Some people call it lazy, but I prefer laid back. And not so time conscious. A little bit. It's Ugandan time, or real time, and they received us warmly. It's I would say 70 to 30%, 70% Christian, 30% Muslim. I'm not sure exactly.
So
the
predominantly
stats.
Christian.
Predominantly Christian,
okay.
And it's interesting. I have met more saved or born again or converted Muslims in Uganda than I've seen anywhere else that I've ever lived. And it's because of the sample of the Christians. They don't just go witnessing necessarily to the Muslims, but they share their faith in other ways, the way they act, the way they live. And Muslims are curious about that, and they do get converted. Not all, of course, but I've met many.
Wow. So tell us about the radio. So after you landed, you set up a radio program, and where was the transmission for that? This is the internet was in its infancy, so
yes, it's nothing to do with internet at all.
Right. So it was just a.
Okay, so we built a studio where Christopher recorded the show. It was called New Beat at that time, and it was meant for the youth. So we recorded it there, and then put it on CD at that time. And my job was to go on to the different radio stations that had already booked it and give them a radio, I guess it was once, I can't remember now how it was a weekly show, but I think we did a month at a time. So it was like 4 shows on the CD.
So did it become popular? Did a lot of people listen?
Yes, and my job at that time was to answer the listeners. It was pre-internet, so not pre-computers, but pre-internet. So people didn't write to us by email or anything. It was physical letters, and you physically answered them and physically took them to the post office and mailed them, and it was like that. We would travel around a little bit later and visit the different cities or towns where where the New Beat show was being aired, and invite the listeners to come and meet us, and we'd have Bible classes and things like that.
So how long did did the New Beat radio show last for? Or is it still going today?
No, it's not
Okay.
going today.
So what happened? How long did it last? And
I don't know. I don't know exactly. I'd say
some years.
Some years,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, as the internet was coming in and radio was getting less popular, it's still popular, but definitely not like it was.
Yes.
Before, that's all they had. A lot of people didn't even have television. Radio was their main means of entertainment. So it was extremely popular. And then slowly, the internet came and television came.
And you transitioned into another radio program at that time, is that right? Because I know you produce a program today called Nightlight,
Okay,
right?
Nightlight was, Nightlight came a little bit after New Beat. New Beat was just slowly phasing out, I guess. And Nightlight was interesting. The radio stations we had New Beat on before were not necessarily Christian radio stations. They were just radio stations
Secular
that wanted,
stations, gotcha.
They wanted this nice program because it was well produced, and it was in English, of course. It was well produced and free. We gave it to them, so they liked that idea and they put it on.
And what is the main language in Uganda?
English.
English,
But
because the
there's
British were
lots-
there.
Yeah,
Until what year did the British? The early '60s or something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So Nightlight came about when Christopher wanted to have a night show that he was doing live. He wanted to pursue that way of doing it. So we found a Christian radio station. It wasn't that near our house, but we found somebody that could drive him in the evening where it was safer. And he went there every evening and did
Every evening.
every evening.
Wow.
I think it was.
And what would be in that rate? Was it an hour-long show or 30 minutes, and what would the show comprise of that radio program?
I can't remember if it was an hour or half an
Music,
hour. But
devotionals. It
yes,
was a Christian show.
It was a Christian show, so the music was all Christian, and what he shared was Christian. It was to a Christian audience.
Right.
And
Okay.
we still got letters, and that was more the time the internet was starting, and so you would get response over the internet. a
And
little
that
bit
show
more.
continues till this very day.
Not on the radio station.
Okay,
no.
not on the radio,
That-
but on the internet.
On the internet, yeah. That-
And if somebody wanted to, if somebody watching this right now would want to find it on the internet, they've just search for Nightlight.
Probably.
Nightlight.
I've
We'll put it on the
Yeah,
screen here for folks
yeah.
if they want to go take a look.
It's like you said, over the internet only.
So, from what I understand in talking to you during your stay here with us, Kathleen, there's a lot of recording of the Bible in different African languages right now, which you're involved in, and with Christopher's studio are recording. Tell us a little bit about that, how that started, and what the vision for that is.
Okay, so it started a few years back. I'm sorry, I'm really not good at timings. A few years back, Christopher had recorded the Bible, the King James Bible, the whole thing, and put it up on the internet. And a missionary-minded company or mission in South Africa heard it and contacted us saying, do you have studios? Can we come there and record the Bible in this particular language? I think it was Luganda, which is one of the main languages in Kampala. And they came, they liked what they saw, and they started working together to do that, to record the language. So what it meant was they or us had to find the people that could read the Bible in that language. Not just read it, but read it well. Because it's a
recorded version of the Bible.
A recorded version of Luganda Bible. All these things are already been translated and printed, so we didn't do any of that. It was nothing to do with us at all. We were just recording the Bible in the languages that this missionary-minded company told us to. They would raise the funds and whatever they needed to do to get us to record those Bibles.
Okay.
And we would, Christopher or somebody would have to audition the readers to see if they were good enough, because it can't have any kind
Speech
of voice,
impediment.
speech
Yeah,
impediment,
okay,
any
yeah.
kind of things like that.
Sure.
It has to be perfect.
Nice, clear
A lot
voice.
of preachers were hired
Yes.
to do that, but there weren't always preachers. There was other people too. Sometimes you got radio people, we get people off the radio. sometimes just somebody we met that.
So by and by, the whole ministry of recording the Bible in the local language grew, and not all of a sudden, but by and by, you were recording the Bible. Your studios were recording the Bible in other African languages
Yes,
also.
yes.
So
Yeah.
how many different languages is the Bible being recorded in? How many different African languages right now?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Many?
Many, yes.
Okay.
We've been done languages from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Rwanda, from Uganda, of course, from South Sudan, even some from West Africa.
And so we can use that Bible scripture which says, "And great was the company that published it," right? That published the word.
It's
yeah.
interesting because we got more as the ministry grew. We got more. We made more studios. We built more studios.
How many studios do you have now that you use for the recordings of these? Like
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay, gotcha.
When it's always increasing. If we can do as many studios as we have, we can do Bibles. That's the thing.
So right as we speak now, I mean, I know it's in the middle of the night over there, but on a weekly basis, are there different versions of the Bible being recorded in
Yes.
different African languages
Yes,
right now?
Yes, right.
Wow.
That's true. And it's interesting, during the pandemic, where other people were they couldn't do anything, but our ministry, or that ministry, flourished because a lot of people were stuck. We had a lockdown in Uganda where nobody could get in or out. So people were stuck there, and they came and recorded the Bible. And so we recorded more during that time than the previous years, which was amazing. I know, it was amazing.
And so how was the COVID-19 situation in Uganda, say, compared to the United States, or right now in India? There's lots of cases breaking out. How did the coronavirus hit Uganda?
Very little, very little.
And why do you think that is?
Well, personally, I thought the closing of the airports was a very smart move.
Right.
Nobody liked it, but I think ultimately it was a smart
They
move.
just kind of.
That's just my personal.
How long were those airports
It
closed?
was a while, a couple of months.
Okay.
It was difficult for a lot of people.
And are things opening up now?
Yeah,
again?
the airports open up for sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I couldn't be here. But
Yes.
yeah, still.
So what's the vision now? I mean, presumably when you get all of the different African languages recorded, when you finish all the African languages, I mean, will you ever finish, or there are so many languages you'll never finish? What's the end goal for your ministry there? Your recording ministry?
I think it's just the people that have asked us to do it just want to keep doing it until Jesus comes back. They don't see any end in sight. It's just a matter of if they get the funds for whatever language that they want to record. And we have a very good setup there. We have a big operation and a lot of people helping. One thing I didn't mention, it's not just somebody recording the Bible. There's somebody sitting next to them that are looking at the Bible and checking them. Then there's rechecking, and it's a huge operation. It isn't just I read the Bible and it's done and we send it off. It's nothing like that at all.
Wow.
It's a lot of work.
Well, thank you so much for being with us here, Kathleen, and explaining a little bit about that. If you're watching this and you'd like to know more about their recording studios and the recording of the Bible in different African languages, we'll put in our description below, we'll go ahead and put a link that'll take you to them, and you can communicate with them directly. We hope this has been a blessing for you, and the gospel continues to be preached. The Bible continues to be spoken and shared with many people who have never heard it, which is a super blessing. God bless you. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do so right now.